Good afternoon. This is Tyler at Troncalli Chrysler Jeep Dodge here with your new 2014 Chrysler Town Country Touring. I wanted to go over some of the systems in this vehicle that are going to be here even after the AMS conversion is done, but I wanted you to see it first. They will be doing the final cleanup as well. If at any point you have any questions about the van, you're welcome to call me. My number is 678-341-1240, or on my cell. That number is 470-296-1778. Now to begin, we're going to look at your key fob.
David, go to the business office, please. David.
Starting from the top, that's the panic button. Underneath that's the unlock the doors, then lock the doors. And then left here at my thumb, that is a button to open your lift gate and close your lift gate. That's a double tap. That's what the X2 means. The one to the right, this one over here, that is to remote start the vehicle. These open and close your sliding doors. Now if I want to remote start, I double tap that. Listen for the two beeps. That means it's going to start. It'll run for 15 minutes or until it's low on fuel, whichever happens first, and then shut itself off. If you want to shut it off, hit that button once and it shuts itself off. You can remote start it a second time, but you can't remote start it 3 times until you actually get in the vehicle and push the start button. That will reset the remote start count. The reason it will only do it twice is it thinks it's sitting in your pocket getting hit for some reason and doesn't think you really mean to start the vehicle. Now it also has a passive entry system. That's what this button is for right here. You have another entry point as well on the front passenger door, but all you have to do is be close by with the keys, and you can see I'm not pushing any buttons on the keys, and put your hand behind the handle and the door unlocks. You push that button on the handle to lock the doors. That's all there is to it. Hand behind the handle unlocks the door and you get in. All your power window switches are here on the door. That's for your front windows. That's for the power windows in the sliding doors. And this button right here, when you push down on it, it opens that third row vented window. It just bumps out a little bit. And then you lift up underneath that button to close those windows. Here is where you change your rear view mirrors, adjust those, and this button right here locks out the other power window switches. Down here on the side of the seat, this is your seat adjust. That's to slide the seat back and forth. If you lift here, that lifts just the front of the seat, or push it down, that lifts just the back of the seat, or you can push that down. Hook your finger underneath like so to lift the entire seat. This button here is for your lumbar adjust. Here are your headlight controls. You can leave it on automatic if you wish, or that's off. That's just your park lights, or that's your headlights full time. Now if you want to turn your fog lights on, you push in on the knob. Most people are going to leave them on automatic. Here is where you brighten and dim your dash lights. That's what this rotary knob is for here. This brightens and dims your ambient lighting. At night,
Adam, call 172, Adam.
up overhead, where you see it's dark right now, that will actually have a blue glow at night. And this rotary knob is what adjusts how much glow you get. If you want to shut it off completely, just roll it down until it clicks and that shuts it off. Now over here you'll notice you've got 2 squares at the top of the dial here. What that first square will do is put your dash into daytime display mode when your headlights are on. That second square will turn on your overhead lights when your doors are closed. Wipers are right here. Just see a little bit better this way. Just rotate for the wipers. To knock the mist off the windshield, push in about halfway. To operate the wipers, or the wiper fluid, the washer fluid, excuse me, push all the way in. This operates the wiper on the back window. Now we'll go ahead and get it started up. Got the start button here, just push on it. Van starts. Now what you see in front of you, this menu right here, On the very top, of course, is your compass and temperature, and it is asking to calibrate the compass. You'll want to do that when you get the van to your place. You're going to change the compass variance, and I'll show you where to do that. And then when you go to calibrate it, all you need to do is drive around in a circle, turning your steering wheel all the way to the right, drive around in a circle about 1.5 to 2 times, and as soon as the cal light right there stops blinking, your compass will be calibrated. Now, you can see right here, you're on fuel economy. I hope you can see that. The little right arrow means there's something in there, so there's your fuel economy. There's your average. DTE is distance to empty, and then a little arrow right here. That little arrow indicates where your average is, and if you leave this screen on while you're driving, you'll see your instant grow in this bar graph underneath. Anytime you're getting better than your average, the word eco is going to light up. Here's a digital readout of your speed. Again, I just hit the right arrow to go into it, and then the back button, and here's where your buttons are, by the way. These buttons navigate that menu. Trip info. So here's your trip meters. Trip meter A, trip meter B, and this is a trip timer. Here's your vehicle information, so you're going to see things, your coolant temperature, your oil temperature, oil pressure, and engine hours. There are no stored messages. Right there is where your vehicle will store messages that it has for you, such as when it's time to change the oil, if there is a fluid that's low, if there's a door that's ajar. That's where messages will be stored if they're not cleared. Here's where you change units away from English if you need to. And system setup. Here's how you personalize your vehicle. That first item says nav turn by turn. If you want to disable a feature, just hit the right arrow to remove the check mark, and you should see the check mark is now gone. What nav turn by turn is it's going to give you your navigation directions. In other words, your next turn is going to show up right here. It's going to say take exit 12 in 1 mile. That's where it'll show you here. You'll still have the map over here on the radio display. I'll show you that here in a couple minutes. Here's where you select if you want your doors to lock automatically. I'm going to guess you probably want that. Your right arrow is what toggles the setting, remember? Here's where your doors automatically unlock when you go to get out. Remote unlock sequence. We're going to hit our right arrow because there's a menu in there, and right now it's set to unlock just the driver's door on the first press of the unlock button. This will make it where it unlocks the entire vehicle on the first press of the unlock button, and I'm talking about that unlock button there on the key. Remote start comfort system. That is a feature that you can enable or disable. What it's going to do is it's going to turn on your vehicle's climate controls based on where you last left them. There's if you want the horn to beep when you lock the doors, if you want the lights to flash when you lock the doors, how long you want your headlights to stay on after you shut your vehicle off and lock it. That's a 0, 30, 60, or 90. So for instance, it's set on 30. If you want to move it to 60, just highlight the 60, like I've done, and then hit that right arrow right there. And now the check mark is moved to 60. Headlights on with wipers. Now this is something very important. In our state, it is law for you to turn on your headlights when you turn on your wipers. Now with this vehicle, since you have automatic headlights, it will turn them on for you when you turn your wipers on. Keep in mind, when that happens during the day, the display here on the radio, which you can see right now, may end up looking like that, and you can't see it. You remember those 2 rotary knobs that I talked about at the beginning? It's this one right here that has those 2 notches next to it. And you watch the display when I roll it up till it hits the first notch. You can see the radio again. So keep that in mind if you have to use your wipers during the day and it turns the headlights on for you. That's how you bring your dash back to where you can see it, by engaging that first notch, that first square right there on the dash dimmer. Here's your key off power delay. You'll have power to your radio and your windows for 45 seconds after you shut your car off, but before you open a front door. If you want to change it to a longer time, say 5 minutes, just highlight the 5 minutes and hit the right arrow. Keep in mind that this time delay will be cut short when you open a front door, so even if you have it set on 5 minutes, if you open the door 25 seconds after you shut your vehicle off, it'll still shut your accessories off. Illuminated approach is how long you want your vehicle to light up when you hit the unlock button. Again, just like before, if you want to change the setting, highlight the setting you want and hit the right arrow, and that will move the check mark onto your selected item. Hill start assist, if you've come to a complete stop on a hill and you don't want to roll back, leave this engaged. This will actually hold your brakes on for about a second and a half, giving you plenty of time to move your foot off the brake pedal and onto the accelerator. If you take longer than a second and a half to move your foot off the brake and onto the accelerator, then chances are it'll let the brakes go and you may roll back, depending on how steep the hill is. If your vehicle feels a little sticky pulling away from a traffic light after you've come to a complete stop, this is probably why. You can disable the feature if you want to, just by hitting the right arrow. Flashers with your sliding doors. When you open and close your sliding doors, they don't open as wide as a front door does, so there won't be as much of a visual stimulus to oncoming drivers that a door is open. That's why you want to leave this engaged. Keyless enter and go is your passive entry system, so if you don't want to use it, if you find yourself having a hard time getting used to it, just disable this feature by hitting the right arrow and removing the check mark. There is where you calibrate your compass, and here is where you change your compass variance. The compass variance for where you live may be different than what it is here in Georgia. And that's the end of the menu. You've got one more thing down here. If you don't want to look at all that information here, highlight turn menu off, hit the button, and that blanks the screen. Any one of those buttons here will bring the menu back up. You hit the down arrow one more time and it goes back to the beginning. You notice that second line is showing you what you're playing on the radio, which is over here. And you have control over the radio using the buttons here on the back of the steering wheel. I hope you can see that. That's this guy right here. This is at your right hand. That's your volume down. That's your volume up. And that button there in the center, this guy right here, will go through your modes. So here's a for instance. Here's your volume up and your volume down. And center buttons go through your modes. There's another button similar to that over here on the left hand. Now this will seek your radio stations down. It will also channel down on satellite or track down when you're listening to a CD or music by Bluetooth or through the USB. That likewise goes track up or seek up or channel up, and that guy goes through your presets on AM, FM, and satellite. Now we're done with the steering wheel area and the gauge cluster. In my next video, I will talk to you about how to operate Uconnect 430N, which is your navigation system here. Talk to you again in a couple minutes.